Now we're recording. We are live.
Woo! Please go home. I don't even know what we are. Series 3, episode 8?
7 or 8.
7 or 8.
You're holding up not? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got snow coming in. Got a little spittle happen right now.
You're right.
That's what happens in November.
I've got echoes, so I apologize. I'll try not to talk a ton. Try a different microphone and see if it stops too. No, it's still doing it. Sorry. That's going to aggravate me. I'll mute myself for most of it. I did want to talk because Mark, you're going to talk about budgets today.
Well, we're going to dive into the getting your spouse on board because I think that is part of budgeting. It goes into budgeting. Plus, over what's happened in my business, I had a very eventful week and helping a couple. I almost want to think that we saved their marriage.
Yeah.
And because of how people were looking at their finances, I think this is one of the most important talks and discussions that we're going to have about finances that can have an impact on all of our businesses, especially working towar's a house and buying a house.
Being on page about what's important in a house, that's something that there's a joke that realtors are counselors and marriage counselors. Before we jump into all that, quick, what's going on this week? I listed the new house down in Tullahoma. Lance, were you amazed at what all you can get down here for your price?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also was amazed at your listing, how you did voiceover and stuff for that. I think I made a comment and I shared it, but you did a really good job. Do you want to tell us how you did that or why? Why did it was really like professionally produced, not that you're not a professional.
I did it myself. Actually, on this platform that we're using, I put together a PowerPoint and then I voiced over it and then I did it. It was about a minute or so clip. But it was a 4-minute long thing. I just snipped out the part that was good. This echo's driving me crazy. But the other thing I wanted to say, I had a bit of a rant today talking to a friend about this government shutdown. And I'm not going to get too political about who's doing what, why, or anything else. But I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It comes down to our representatives, the House and the Senate. So you tell me why. And my kids are doing okay. Mariah and Hunter are doing okay. They're in the Air Force, right? But you tell me why they have to be considering that if this continues for another however long, that they may need to go get a 0-interest loan from Navy Federal to make ends meet. When the editing lots and lots of words here, representatives that we vote in are taking their salary. That's all Mrs. Weissman's going to say. Get it together.
It's getting to the point where, I know I don't want to jump into the political end of this, but I'm getting sick of this. Quite honestly, I don't know of many people that are not. There is a separation between people that are working hard and trying to do the right thing and these morons. I don't care what aisle. I don't. I literally would love to have 15 of them sit in front of me, or I don't know why 15, but that number just came out of my mouth. But I'm sick of it. I'm tired of working and playing by the rules, doing the right thing.
And having to budget your household?
And having to budget my household, having to live right. And we have people who are trying to win up or level up on someone else because either hatred or because of I don't like you, or any. It's a bunch of kids, and you know what? Everyone in Washington D.C., hear me. You're nothing more than a 2-year-old in a sandbox who is not playing when you have people that are doing and playing by the rules outside of that play box, wondering when they're going to have their opportunity to get into the sandbox to play. So if you're listening to this, take one piece of advice. Shove whatever hatred you have on whatever side and put it up into the dark area of a place that you know where I'm wanting you to put it, and move on.
Oh, and you're going to talk about marriage and getting on the same page. It's important for a household to have a budget, right?
Yeah.
We voted these people into office collectively to do something responsible with our money, and instead it's just debt and shutdowns and appeasement bills so that we can just band-aid on an artery that's just spurting. That's all I'm saying. Lance, what's been going on in your world?
That's what's going on a lot. I had a great week. A couple of purchases come in out of nowhere, and some refis. Rates are they're still attractive. I mean, they're attractive. They're not what the news is making it out to be, like they're the lowest ever, because they're not. You can get in the fives, on a 30 right now, or you can get in a low 5 on a 15-year. I know it's easy bait for you guys to say something. Don't do it. Let's wait for another call. But I've had a good week. I'm learning the broker side here. A lot of fun.
50-year mortgage is going to be tabled for another discussion.
Please.
All right.
Mark,
That's
take it away.
good. Yeah, that's good. So today, in why the shutdown, I think kind of works on the outer banks of our discussion today. I said in the introduction, I think this is one of the most important aspects of budgeting or personal finance that we have. That we can talk about. I don't have the statistics. I probably could have looked them up, but I don't think it's any secret that the majority, one of the top 1 or 2 reasons as to why people get divorced is because of finances, and fighting over finances. And so today's topic and today's discussion is how do we get a spouse on board and for your personal finances. Over the course of the 3 years that I've been coaching, both in the finance space and the career space, I can probably I know that there's at least 5 marriages that I've had an opportunity to be a part of restoring or getting people on the same page. And more recently, this last week, an entire a couple who had separated with their finances, and it all centered around how they were getting engaged in conversations.
Hold on, they had separated, or their finances were separated, or
No,
both?
they personally had separated, and now just over the course of a couple meetings, we were able to identify, what was the immediate pain point, and what were the underlying reasons for those pain points, and it's really just as simple as 2 people not communicating about what they want, but also what were the things that were important to them, and they were 2 very different dynamics of what the husband wanted and what the wife wanted, and so walking through that and dissecting that and listening to the interaction of their finances or their discussions on finances was really really eye-opening in my mind. So I have 3 items that we want to talk about to help getting your spouse on board. This is actually a free download off of my website, aspirecoaching.com. If you go there, go to resources, and you can see the download. Go to downloads, and you'll be able to pull that document up on getting your spouse on board with finances. And this is the Dave Ramsey approach. It is centered in the principles of Ramsey Solutions, but I have found working these 3 items has really reshaped the marriages that I've had an opportunity to be a part of and save. So, with that being said, we're gonna have a discussion. We're gonna throw it out there. So, number 1. If your spouse is not on board with you, start with a conversation. That's number 1, not a confrontation. Okay, so start with a conversation, not a confrontation. So, Jennifer, go ahead.
What's the difference?
Well, a conversation. The difference between a conversation and a confrontation. What is the difference? I don't know. I mean, a conversation is a conversation, not a confrontation. Confrontation is conflict.
Like without accusing is what you're saying.
Yeah, and
So if somebody's watching this and they're like, I am having a conversation, and to someone on the outside, they're like, no, you're having a confrontation.
right. So we're going to go through these elements and some of the things that make up what it means to have a conversation and not a confrontation. Approach the topic gently, not with blame or frustration. Remember, this is your partner. This is someone that you've married. You have a relationship with. If in the past your finances have ended up in an argument, we might start asking ourselves, when did we start approaching and talking about finances? Is it at the end of the day and everyone is rushing around to get food done and kids cleaned up, and the topic of a delicate topic like that has entered the picture after a hard day at the office or at work? So when is your approach? Be aware. Is this area a safe place? Is now, just ask yourself in your mind, is now a good time to talk about finances? May or may not. So approach gently and respectfully. Understand that other person may have a different perspective of it. We're going to avoid blame and frustration. Use I statements like, I feel stressed out about our finances and I want us to work together so we have peace with money. That is that's basically saying, I'm a little concerned. I'm worried. I'm stressed out about this. It's opening up and giving someone the opportunity to respond in kind, or they may respond differently, if they don't have the same stress. So use your statements and what you feel about your finances. I think that gives an opportunity for someone to respond with something like, I really didn't know that you felt like that. Now we're starting to have a conversation, not a confrontation.
As opposed to saying, oh, sorry about that.
Yes.
Or an I statement like, I think someone in this family is spending all of our money, and it's not I.
Yeah.
I know that's not what you want.
Yeah,
just wanna be silly.
exactly. I mean, if you're gonna, look, bottom line, it's common sense. If we're gonna come at our wife or our husband as, I don't like the fact that you're going to be spending all the money. I mean, you're automatically putting the person on defense. Emphasize teamwork. Okay.
Mark, do you think systemically as a culture that there's not enough emphasis on couples talking about money before they become a couple or become married or bound?
1000%, Lance, and that is such a great question. I'm glad that you asked that because that is a segue into one of the things. If anyone that is listening to this right now is engaged, you're not yet married, and you have not had the conversation about finances, it is absolutely, in my mind, a critical conversation to have about finances. I'm going to kind of throw this out here. Okay. Why is it that we can swap DNA, but we can't talk about our checking accounts?
Well put.
If we can't talk about our checking accounts, but we can build babies, might have a problem. So, one of the things that I wanted to emphasize is teamwork. This is in something like this. Finances are something that we can win together. Hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I was off budget, and I'm stressed out about our finances. But I know that you can help me. I've noticed how you have been able to not experience the stresses that I've had. I'd like for you to show me how. Can you teach me how you're avoiding those same pitfalls? Now you're opening up the door for someone to be able to work with you. Remember, this topic in one of the I'm gonna constantly iterate. One of the reasons why people end up in divorces, houses get sold, and assets get dumped, is because of finances. So we it's really important that we think about how we're having those discussions.
And I think
So
it's
how would
important to know that everybody comes from a different background, how their parents did money, how they were allowed to access money under their parents, how they view money and what you do with it. I know I've mentioned in the past that I was controlled with money. In my marriage, it was bad. So we're not talking about that kind of thing.
It's
I'll talk
actually
about my
really
family.
That's actually a really great question, Jennifer. One of the things that we walked through this last week with each one of the individuals was, and for anyone listening, this might be a critical question for you to ask, and for you and your husband or wife to have to answer as well. But that question was, what was money like for you growing up? And there's some real pain in that. There's some real things like people not being able to, just having the basic needs. Mom might have not been able to, and Dad may not have been able to provide for the family like they thought.
Well, and sometimes parents are spending free, so that's what you learned.
Correct.
Sometimes you didn't know that your parents had a really strong budget. You just saw them spending free, so you didn't know that that's what it was. I know that there were times that my mom and I went shopping, and I'm not talking gratuitous spending crazy. I'm talking some back to school stuff. We brought in 1 or 2 bags, but the other bags came in behind. So Dad didn't see it because there was control there.
Yeah, the depth of our coaching session went into for one of the parties, the wife. She grew up with having very limited things in her life, in her childhood, and how that turned around and how that's showing up in her life now. The underlying important factor that the husband did not know about was, for her, it's really important to be able to give the kids the things that she feels like she needs to give them because of how she grew up not having those things. The husband never knew that. For the husband, in diving into this, it was important for him to save money and be able to have a nest egg and legacy to be able to hand to the kids over, as they got older, but also to be able to take the kids on trips whenever they wanted to. But he had to save first. So you can see the difference of what's going on. And this is classic, where you have one person pulling away and providing things for a family where, based on what they didn't have growing up, and you have the other one pulling the other direction, saying, no, we need to save, and you can see the conflict. Both people pulling both different ways, and
Well, and really quick on that too, you can have a discussion with a fiance before you're married, but you are never going to know all the things that are going to come down the pike. You can have a discussion about, do we want our kids to play Little League? Do we want them to play travel ball? Do we want them to do this? Do we want... But as life goes on, other things come up too, so then you have to continue having discussions.
Yeah. That's a great comment. I think that's a great segue into the second of the three, and that is share the why behind your concern. So in the case of a couple that we're working with, sharing why it's important to provide for the kids the way that she was providing for them, so that the husband can understand what was the motivation behind that, and then also same thing for the husband, to be able to share why it was important for the family to save, and so explain your motivations, share your motivations. There were some crying sessions between these two people. Things, breaking down and saying, I never knew that's how you felt. These people have been married for 10 years, 15 years, certainly more than 10 years. To go through a relationship and not even understand the motivations. Again, it's pretty mind-boggling, and I love the idea that you brought up the question about having a discussion about finances before you get married. Understand what I'm a very big proponent of joint accounts, joint savings account, joint checking accounts, all of the money coming into that, one big pile of cash, and no one having an independent life, or not independent life, but I don't need you to see this over here, or I'm only going to give you access. When we, in marriage, at least for me, two become one, and that means that two accounts become one.
But within that, you have discretionary spending money.
Sure.
History major math. $200 a month, you can do what you want.
Yep.
I can do what I want.
Yeah.
So I hate this. But if my 200 is manicures and margaritas, and yours is setting it back, and 6 months in, going on a guy's golf trip, that's what it is.
Yeah. There's no look. There's no if you use your discretionary fund money, I call it fund money. Having fund money and deciding, I don't want to spend it. I'm going to save it because I want to go on a guy's golf trip. Then so be it. I mean, but everyone's aware, of what's coming in and what's going out of that account. I know we're a little bit off base here. because of how I transitioned or suggested a joint account. But I want to go back to number 2. Share the why behind your concern. Explain your motivations of getting out of debt, building wealth, giving generously, or securing your family's future. And tie your financial goals to a shared dream. So as the week went on, because we were able to find out what were the 2 motivations behind why the spending on why one was spending, one was wanting to save, we found common ground. The common ground is that the husband and the wife both wanted to do something for the kids. Oh, okay. They're both doing something different in their finances, but the commonality of it was they wanted to provide overall a legacy for the kids and something for, to give to the kids. So now we have a common goal that we can work from. If in that budget and in that family we can say, all right, is it reasonable that the kids get all of these things, or are you open to compromising in order to find common ground with your husband or your wife? And through some of that compromising and understanding, yeah, I could probably give up. We were able to meet both options of what both of the husband and the wife wanted to do. The kids are going to be able to do something because there was some compromise. He's going to be able to save money for the legacy. Now they're working together, and not instead of pulling apart, we're coming together and saying, yeah, together, both of us wanted. Believe it or not, the eye-opening result of that was I just sat back and it was truly amazing to watch 2 people go. We've been fighting each other for the common good of the same thing.
And it's a different perspective of what is best for the kids. And that's a whole nother episode of what is best for the kids. And when do you put limits on what you're doing? Like I said, travel ball, that's going to get expensive.
Dancing.
Some of those other things. And do you go down that road, and how far? And at what point you give the kids a say of, do you want A, do you want B? Do you want to try and do both? And if so, then we got to get rid of C.
Right.
Like family discussion as opposed to partner discussion.
Yeah, and I mean, if kids are old enough, and honestly, kids are smart. They see what's going on. They absorb what's going on, so do they need to know everything about your finances? Probably not. But if something is changed in the finances, why is mom buying Cheerios and not Frosted Flakes? That might
Is it healthier?
Yeah. Yes. But why did I used to get this and now I'm getting that? They're gonna pick up on it. They're smart enough to understand that.
Well, and the other thing when you're talking about kids, because I think that is a lot of it, is how their kids' perspective. Dear God, we have too much stuff. One of the best things I think you can do for your kids is not give them everything. Not deprive them, but let them know that no is okay. You're not getting something every time you walk in a store.
Right.
You'd like to.
And Mrs. Whiteman has left cartons of grocery carts and hauled screaming kids out of the store and said, I guess we're going to have what we have at home.
So if you want to read that book, you can read My Childhood.
Yeah.
I think there's a joke I make that I heard my dad tell us as kids. Hey, Mark, we're going to a new restaurant. And I was like, a new restaurant? Yeah, and it's the cuisine is Mexican food. And I was like, oh man, this is great. We're getting excited about going to a new Mexican cuisine restaurant. He was like, "You want to know what the name of it is?" And I said, "Yeah. What is that?" And he's like, "La Casa." So, we're going home.
So I used to put on the menu Mamma Mia pizza. That meant I was making pizza that night.
Yeah.
Mi Familia pizza was everybody got to make their own pizza.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he had he had fun with it, but we always knew. The third one is probably the one that has most of the kind of the conflict, and if your spouse is not on board, keep inviting them into the plan. Okay, option number 3, invite them into the plan. Don't just try to do this on your own, because it's going to drive you further away from where you're wanting to go. Don't dictate. Okay, I had another couple where finances for the wife was, she had in all seriousness, I have about a 7-minute span of interest in talking about finances, and when I hit 7 minutes, I'm done. I don't want to do it. Okay, so we're gonna invite you into this plan. We're gonna invite you into helping with this.
She sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Why are we going to schedule a 30-minute meeting with her to talk about finances? How
Was
do you
it a
think that's going
stress
to
thing
end?
or a board thing?
She didn't like it. She didn't simply
It's
like
a
it.
control thing.
I don't want to deal with it. I disconnected.
If she left it to him, was she okay if he worked it all out and presented it to her?
Eventually, yeah, but how we worked through this, you guys, is we started off with 5 minutes. At the end of 5 minutes, if you're tired of it, get up. That's what, and does that mean that the husband, yeah.
Deuces.
That's awesome.
She beat me to it. I was like,
Yeah. I mean, if someone doesn't want to be there, why are you
Can't make
gonna?
them.
Yeah, you can't make them. Does that mean that the husband sits there for the next 25 minutes and work on the finances? No. You take a break. You respect the impact. Eventually, she got to the point where she was actually fully on board and working through all of the finances over the course of the same amount of time. But we had to start small. So if you have a spouse that is not on board, don't dictate to them, you're going to join me for finances for 30 minutes. Collaborate. Find a workable pattern and workable solution. Say something like, can we look at this together and make a plan we both feel good about? When you're willing to be open and allow people to work with you when it comes to finances, then you're and most of the time following these 3 suggestions. And these are the 3 suggestions that I've found has worked, at least in the families that I've worked with. These are the same 3 examples that I used this last week, the fact is, right now it's fragile, but they're working together.
So lots of people tightening budgets right now. What advice do you have when one partner is like, okay, we need to cut the budget somewhere, and maybe one spouse has a subscription to something, or they like to get a bottle of wine every week and drink that, and another one wants to go out to dinner once every other week with their partner. What do you do when you're like, okay, no, you need to cut that. No, you need to cut that. Should you look at your own interest, and I'm going to look at what Jennifer is very interested in, and I'm going to pick something of mine to cut, and you're going to look at something of yours to cut, instead of me looking at yours and go, oh, we don't need to spend that money over there, and you looking at me going, oh, you don't need to spend that. Is it more cohesive for you to look at your own, the expenditures that are fonder to you, I guess?
If you're using your fund money to do that, then that.
No, this is family budget. Let's say, we've got a subscription to Hulu, and we've got family budget that we go out to dinner twice a month, date
Well,
night.
right. That's
But we got to cut something because things are tight.
Yeah, Jennifer, that's the second bullet point that I
Yeah.
talked about. That second bulleted item is shared values, shared not values, but shared goals. Finding common ground and asking the question, how does that Hulu subscription get us closer to the common ground that we're trying to reach?
But also I think it would be easier if we're trying to find something to cut, that I'm looking at something that more pertains to me to cut, rather than looking at something that Tim may be spending money on and going, no, you need to cut that. And him going, no, you
Listen
need
to
to
how.
cut that.
Okay, this is really.
That's what I'm
important.
saying.
Okay, this is really important. Listen to what you just said,
Yeah,
Tim. This is what you need to do.
that's
You're
what I'm saying. That's
immediately
not the
coming-
way.
Yeah, you're immediately coming in with a confrontation, not
Right.
a conversation.
As opposed to going, hey, I've looked over the budget and my, guilty pleasures, I don't know, Spotify, let's just say. In Spotify, maybe I could get rid of that. Tim's not impacted by Spotify. I'm like, you know what? I'll bring this to the table. Instead of me saying, hey, that's what I'm trying to get across to people watching.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're coming to the table with something, and you're offering a workable solution. But I thought it was very important to pick up on how we're coming to that person.
Yeah.
If we're coming into that conversation with you need, it's
That's
already
what I'm saying, yeah.
That conversation that's no longer a conversation. Here's one of the best ways for me to be able to say this as a coach. If I had a client from Texas and I walked in and I said, you know what, you need to get rid of your truck. This guy from Texas is going to say, I don't know who the heck you are, but you're not going to come in here and tell me to get rid of my truck. I've had a truck and I've lived in Texas for the last 40 years. Now, if I approach it like, if you had the money from the truck payment, what could you do with that money? What else could you do with that money? Now we're having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know what,
good.
Mark? You're right. If I can cut down an $80,000 truck to a $35,000 or $40,000 truck, used truck, I just gave up $40,000 worth of debt. My payment has just opened up at least $400 or $800, and now I can start helping with the family legacy and providing for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it going to be hard to get rid of an $80,000 truck and find a third? Yeah, but finances are not easy.
Oh my gosh, I must be living on another planet. I know people have $80,000 trucks. I know that. I do not.
Yep.
I mean, but I had the $30,000 or $40,000 truck when that was a lot when I was 30. So I do know what you're talking about. And I met a woman who said, "That's gotta go," and it did. And but it was a conversation. It was a two-way conversation.
Yeah, and Mark, again, that's what I was saying, is when you're having this, to make it a conversation, to put it into plain English, you're not looking at what your partner needs to cut.
Right.
You're looking at what can I.
How can I be a team player in this? Instead of saying, well, you're not doing this, so I'm not going to do that. that's confrontation. That's
Yeah,
conflict.
exactly. That's why I brought that up, because a lot of people don't realize what they're doing and saying is confrontation.
Yeah, and that's why the very first one was so important. Start with a conversation, not a confrontation.
Yeah.
Think about where you're having these conversations at.
That should be the title of this podcast. That'd be a good one.
Start with a conversation, not a confrontation.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I think
and
there's a lot of
speaking
good
of,
AI stuff in here.
yeah, speaking of stuff that God-forsaken echo, I'll be confirming that I believe the accountant will be on this week when we
He thinks he
record.
is.
Huh?
He thinks he is. I talked
Okay,
to him
I hadn't
Friday.
seen the acceptance.
Okay.
So that's my understanding. And the reason we want to bring him on is back to the government, good, bad, in between. There's changes in the tax bill. And I think I've got a trust and estate lawyer that's going to come on, and there have been some pretty big changes on trusts.
Oh, that would be a good.
I didn't realize. I got to look at mine. I guess they went in 23 or 24. So I got to make sure that my trust is doing what I intended it to do with the changes in the government.
They can change whatever they want, whenever they want. For example, YouTube TV took away my ABC Sports and ESPN, and that's why I had a frown on my face.
Humanity.
After 8 years of being a loyal customer, it just says, heck with you, Lance. Switch
I-
to Hulu.
In order for me to watch hockey, because that's something that I enjoy, I have to pay for ESPN Plus to watch the whatever games I want to watch, and if believe it or not though, they still black out games in this area. I mean you can't your local game team you can't watch because if it's not sold out then they black it out. It's just
Fubo
it's
doesn't.
so what's that?
Fubo doesn't. That's what I changed over to from YouTube TV. I'm super happy.
Fubu.
Fubo. I think it's F-U-B-O.
Oh, yeah. Is it
Yeah.
Tubi
Not
TV?
Tubi.
No.
Yeah, for TV.
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
F-U-B-O. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
everything. It's cheaper. But they can do it next week too. So I mean, they can be like, we're out.
Well, here's
Well, do you remember when DirecTV got rid of the Weather Channel? They couldn't come to terms.
Yeah.
yeah. For me, I'm putting up an over-the-air TV. In fact, actually, they're running the cable. Yep.
An antenna?
Yep. Yep. Believe it or not, so the ATSC is the technology. That's 1.0. ATSC 1.0 is the old standard. The new standard ATSC 3.0. That's still in a lot of development, but that will give you 4K broadcasts over the air, and so 4K broadcasts TV. And guess
Nice.
what?
I think we could do 4K with these videos. I've got a big. We got to wrap it up.
We can't even get rid of the echo.
I've got a big announcement for next week, which I'll show you guys as soon as we hit stop. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a really cool.
That
Mark,
was
you did a great
that-
job today. I appreciate
Yep.
taking the time to talk about the difficult conversations that people have and how you were able to impact them.
You guys, I appreciate that, Lance. One of the last things I want to say is, please, anyone that's listening right now, we are entering in one of the most stressful times of the year.
College football playoffs? I'm kidding.
Not being able to, if anyone is stressed out, anyone is having a problem, and now there's still time to build a strategy. I don't want people to get upset and lose marriages over something that they don't need to.
Yeah.
And the holidays are one of the hardest times for families. The shutdown and not getting paychecks and people not being able to eat. I don't know if about you guys, but I have seen some videos. Have you gone to your grocery store?
Not for a minute.
all of the shelves are stocked full. There's very little people in the grocery stores, and all of the shelves are stocked.
They're doing pre-Black Friday sales because they don't think Black Friday is going to be enough to get the retailers into the black. So a lot of them are doing. And that's the thing too. It's not just the government employees who are shut down. It's the ones that are ancillary to it. And I know two people, not related to government, who have both lost their jobs, have been told they will not have a job by the end of the year.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a whole nother story. Yep.
I know we got to wrap this up. I just really want to appeal to people. If you are struggling with your finances, you struggling with trying to get a husband or a wife on board, if you visit us buyercoaching.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you, and just be well, people.
Yeah.
Just
And
take a
again,
step back.
if you see coming down the pike that your income is changing, now is the time to change your budget.
Yep.
If it doesn't happen, then you have excess money, and that's great.
Right. Great
All
call,
right.
our great podcast today, guys.
Good job.
Thank you.
Awesome.